What's up, Iggy?
I've come up with a new recipe.
Can't wait to try it. The hunt is on.
When a title that has been in development hell for years finally comes out, there is always the concern that any praise it receives is more a sigh of relief than actual critical consensus. And indeed, the release of Final Fantasy XV was anticipated by racked nerves aplenty. The previous title in the series was such a train wreck that even die-hard fans bounced off it. So what's to stop this one following suit? That collective sigh of relief is a powerful thing, a perspective that impacts the way we judge our own enjoyment of media. But when the hype dies down and the verdicts have come and gone, is Final Fantasy XV a good game? Yes, it is, but it's not a great one. Under all the sheen and ambition, 15 is a game that has all the same problems that led 13 to be almost universally reviled. Its story is choppy and at times nonsensical, with significant bits of the narrative seemingly missing, even accounting for what was set aside for the spin-off movie Kingsglaive. The game also has a really weird attitude towards women, with more screen time given to a hypersexualized car mechanic than a rather important figure in the plot. While the combat looks good, it feels extremely stiff. The player characters are all very well animated, but it's an over-animation that translates to often unresponsive controls. A general lack of mechanical variety in the combat will also be something of a black mark for series fans. The game also has a number of smaller niggles, quirks of a genre that really shouldn't be present in a game that came out in 2016. Things like only being able to select one of the many hunts at a time, the amount of backtracking you need to do for numerous uninteresting side quests, or the slew of absolute garbage that ends up clogging up your inventory as you progress through the game. But these are elements that end up making the game just frustrating rather than unplayable. And even considering these issues in a vacuum, the game still fares better than most other JRPGs that came out that year.
No problem. Take care, Highness.
We've established what is wrong with Final Fantasy XV, core problems that could be seen as unforgivable in some eyes, but it remains a game loved by many. Why is this? The short answer? Identity. 15 is a game that builds much of its world, its story, and its mechanics around a surprisingly solid sense of identity. The fusion of high fantasy and mid-90s Americana is something that really shouldn't work. But it does. This is a world where magic exists, but only to a scant few, leaving the rest of the population to rely on technology to keep them alive.
Like you've got a bond that doesn't need words.
It doesn't always work in a logical manner though. Noctis has a phone, but communicates with his fiancée through a canine-delivered journal. Pricing is bizarre too, with basic foodstuff costing 10 times that of fuel. But with enough time spent in this world, the oddness becomes normalized, and the aesthetic starts to make sense. Traversal of this world is essential to how the game is meant to be played. My own memories of countless road trips I took part in as a child came flooding back as I took in the sights. Those lengthy moments of inaction as you are carted around the expansive world of Eos give an opportunity to reflect, to remember, and to collect your thoughts on what you've played. That the only way to level up is attached to reflections on the journey bolsters this sense of identity. Quiet, understated moments of contemplation and companionship by the fireside, enjoying a home-cooked meal from recipe thief Ignis, and leafing through the photos taken during that day. Taking the time to reflect is as much a mechanic as the car, the cooking, and the combat. So fundamental is it to the structure of the game that those who bounce off it bounce off the game as a whole. While nostalgia and celebration of the series as a whole are one aspect of the game's creation, they aren't really what makes the game lovable.
Most adorable bird ever.
Final Fantasy as a series is something of an oddity, the games reinventing themselves with every iteration. It's why popular opinion about the series' highs are so divisive. My favourite entry is most likely not yours, and the distance between even titles on the same platform is often such a chasm that it becomes nigh on impossible to rank them against one another. Final Fantasy XV is a love or hate and nothing in between kind of deal. Its core is such that you can either forgive its problems, or you can't. If you don't love Final Fantasy XV, you really don't love it, and its sense of identity is paramount to this.